If you're new to my channel, welcome. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe. So growing up in my family, we didn't talk a lot about mental health or how to take care of it. It was just one of those things that would just happen to other people, which is interesting because my dad actually suffered from depression at some point in his life. It was before I knew him, but apparently it was quite severe. So it's a little bit surprising that they didn't ever discuss that. I also remember when I was about 17, I was going through a phase of feeling like incredibly depressed most of the time, and I knew something was up, and I tried to talk to my mum about it, and she just said, oh, it's just hormonal, it'll go away soon. In some ways she was right. It did go away eventually, but it was more what I would call circumstantial depression. And it was affected by the circumstances I was in and the things that were happening to me at the time, which meant that eventually it did go away, but it taught me a lesson about how to take care of myself. Anyway, enough about my family, that's a story for another time. So through all of this and through my growing up and becoming an adult and the different things that I experienced at home with my own mental health, I have discovered that there is a very strong connection between your mental and emotional health. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit today, is learning to differentiate between those two things and learning to care for your mental health through its ups and downs and through your emotional stages. So when you're sick or fighting a cold, you usually try to take better care of yourself. You try and get more sleep, take more vitamins, and just take really good care. Take a day off work if you have to try and make sure that you stay well. But how often do we do that for our mental health? I mean, how often do we even think that our mental health might actually need a day off? As part of all this, taking care of our heads and keeping them happy, resting, like I'd mentioned, is really, really important, and one of the best ways that we can help to get ourselves more rest is to take magnesium. It really helps with getting a good night's sleep and relaxing all of your muscles and relaxing your mind. And did you know that while you're sleeping, your brain actually detoxes from any chemicals or imbalances that are in there that shouldn't be there, and also loose information that you don't need gets wiped. It's kind of like a computer hard drive, something. So a couple of other things you can do to get a really good sleep is to make sure you only drink caffeine-free drinks before bed, and to either diffuse lavender oil in a diffuser, or you can actually put a couple of drops on the soles of each of your feet and massage that in, and then it goes into your bloodstream and it can help you to sleep well. There's lots of other things you can do to get better sleep, really simple things. If you wanted to Google that and get a few different ideas, there can be all sorts of interesting things that you can do at home to help improve your sleep. So another really important thing you can do to take care of your mental health, something we probably do a bit more when we're feeling physically sick, is to eat well. And that might sound really simple and like, why does that affect your head? But it's like fuel. You can either put E10 in your car or you can put premium in your car, and only one of them is going to have long-term benefits. One of them is cheap, one of them is more expensive, but it makes your car run further and it has more long-term benefits in taking care of your car's engine. Same goes with fuel. You can eat the unhealthy stuff, eat the easy stuff, and it keeps you going for a little while, but the long-term benefits are very minimal for most of those easy foods. So taking a bit more care of what you eat, like fresh fruits and vegetables, less dairy, less gluten, less sugar, all of those things will actually positively affect your mental health. Another tip I have for you is decluttering. Now, this is something that's being talked about a lot because so many people are going into minimalism right now. And what is minimalism? I mean, for some people it's like getting rid of everything, and for some people it's like getting rid of two things. Anyway, so what I've been doing is I've actually always been a really messy person. As a kid, I was that annoying one in the bedroom who always had a disgusting bed and would just leave stuff everywhere. When I had my own room for a very short time, when I was about 10 years old, I used to have like a carpet of clothes on the floor. Kind of disgusting when you think about it, but that's how I lived. So my journey to decluttering has been a very, very long process, as you can imagine. But believe it or not, I actually really hate mess. I just seem to have a lot of trouble not making it. If that makes sense. That's like a double negative or something. Anyway, I seem to have a very easy time making mess, even though I hate mess. So what I've been doing recently is actually really trying really hard to declutter and to reorganize the way that I do things, to find easier ways to do things, and I'm getting so much better. And one thing that I have noticed, I've read a lot about how having a clear space clears your head, and that the state of your house or your bedroom reflects the state of your mind. And I was always just like, not really. I mean, it's messy and I hate the mess, but I can still think. But I have discovered in recent times that actually having a clear space works like magic in my head. It's hard for me to explain to you exactly what it does. It's just magic. No, what I really feel is that the space is just so much fresher, and it gives me the ability to relax within myself and to think clearly and to be more organized in general. If I don't have to think about where to find things and thinking about how my house might look to other people. I don't think it's a good idea to declutter and be unmessy just to impress other people. It has to be something that you do for you, because impressing other people is just pouring a lot of energy out of yourself for no particular reason, because people are either going to like you or they're not going to like you. It doesn't matter what your house looks like. I actually have a lot of good friends. Some of them are super clean and perfectionists in their house, and others are like really messy, and to be honest, I don't care. I mean, that sounds really awful. I don't care what the state of their house is. I can appreciate the things that they do. I can appreciate when I go into my friend's house and it's beautiful and sparkling clean. But I can also appreciate going to a friend's house and seeing that it's a big mess, but she has a busy life and she made an effort to make sure that she had something really nice for us to eat, and she tidied up the lounge room space so we could sit down and enjoy each other's company. That means a lot to me, and if people appreciate you and who you are, then the state of your home does not matter. But I do just want to say that learning to declutter, whatever that might look like for you, whether it's 2 things or everything, can actually make a difference to how you feel when you're at home, and to how your head feels, and the clarity of your mind when you clear things up and make some space in your house. It's worth a try. So the next thing that I have learned, and I have been trying so hard to get this one, but it's really hard, and that is less screen time. Screen time is something that is super addictive. It can be really bad for you. It can be really bad for being able to think clearly and for being able to focus. It can be really bad for getting enough sleep, especially if you're looking at a screen until right up before you go to bed. Unfortunately, screens are a very necessary part of our life these days, depending on what you do. I mean, some people live without a screen and probably have no problems with it. For the rest of us, it's like our phones have a screen, we need our computers for work, and all of these things have screens. But managing how much time we spend looking at that screen is up to us, and we do have to learn to just be a bit more wise about what we're doing and how we're using our time and what we're looking at. And so you can try a few different things, like in the evenings, instead of watching TV, you could try reading a book or creating something, doing some painting or sewing if you're into crafts and that sort of thing. There's so many different things you can try doing that will keep you entertained and occupied without looking at a screen. Hard as that may be to do, because it's so easy to just sit down with a blanket and a cup of tea and watch a television show. I love it. I'm a sucker for that. So on that note of less screen time, my next tip is to have more fresh air and exercise. Now during the day, this is a great way to get yourself away from the screen. Some people actually like running at night, so you could do that too. I don't particularly like running at night. I don't like the cold. I suppose it might work in summertime, but it depends what neighborhood you live in too. It's not always safe to go running outside. So that's something to think about. But exercise is super important. It gets your blood pumping, which helps to detox your body. And then of course, sweating is an incredible way of detoxing your body. And believe it or not, toxins have a huge impact on your mental health. And it can be so important to really get all of that bad stuff out of you, to do some sweating, to get some physical activity, get your body warmed up and your blood moving. It makes a big difference to how you think. You can actually Google it, do some research. You will find that there are articles talking about how exercise improves your ability to think clearly and to focus, which if you're wanting to be a really successful entrepreneur or business person, or just successful in life, having clarity of mind and focus and clear thinking is really important. So something else that I have found to be really helpful in helping my head to be happy is meditation. Now, this is a word that can mean so many different things for so many different people. And for me, it means spending time reading my Bible and talking to God. That is one of the ways I meditate, and another way that I meditate is by playing worship music and listening and singing along to it as I do something. So meditating to me is about focusing your mind on something valuable and something that is of value to your spiritual well-being. And believe it or not, your spiritual well-being is very interconnected with your mental and physical well-being. And personally, I think that Christianity is the best of them, but obviously you're all free to make your own choice in that area. So I spend time in the mornings reading the Bible, and I also read different Christian books that teach me about myself and teach me about how to live a happier and better life from a Christian perspective. And I also spend time talking to God and praising God and cultivating a heart of gratefulness and thankfulness. And I find that makes life so much easier. If I can be grateful in the little things, it's easier to not be so unhappy about things that aren't going quite the way that they should. And along those same lines with reading different books and spending time meditating, something else I would recommend for your mental health is taking time to get to know yourself. So you could take yourself on a date or no. So what I'm talking about here is learning about you and how you work as a person and what you need best. So learning when you need to take time and how much time you need to take for yourself. What sorts of things stress you out and how to reduce them. What sorts of things make you relax and how you can incorporate those into your life a little bit more. One of the things that I like doing as part of that is personality tests. Some people that I know really hate personality tests, and to some extent I can understand they can be kind of useless and kind of stupid. But there are a few really good ones out there. And what I find about doing really good personality tests is that they teach you, even though they're not always 100% accurate, they teach you little things about yourself that you might not know. My favorite of all is not actually a test. It's a audio teaching on people and personalities, and it's called the Enneagram. And through listening to the Enneagram, I discovered that I am a number 4, and learning about this and about the different ways that number 4s interact, the different things that they are weak in and also strong in, and where they can cultivate their strengths and reduce their weaknesses, has made a huge difference to me. It helped me to understand that when I'm feeling really melancholy and miserable, that I don't need to wallow in it. I need to accept it and allow it to be, but to carry on anyway. So the Enneagram has really helped me to figure out more about me and to understand how I work. Some people, again, might really hate them, but I find this one is incredibly complex, probably just about as complex as all the different varieties of humans that there are on the earth. So it's definitely worth looking into if that's something that you're really keen to try. I do believe that understanding yourself more makes a big difference to how you handle your own health and how you take care of yourself. So as I was talking about friendships before, just a little based on decluttering and that sort of thing, I want to cover relationships and how important they are to your mental health. Having really good, strong relationships with friends and family is very important. Having good, strong friendships with other people outside of your family is also vital. These people can really speak into your life. They can encourage you, they can uplift you, and they can also tell you when you're going wrong or when you're not doing so well and encourage you to make a change in your life. It's so important. But the other important thing about relationships is to cut out the toxic ones. These can be people who really suck a lot of life out of you, who are always needing stuff from you, or people who always speak bad stuff into your life. It's really important to make sure that you don't have too much of that influence in your everyday. Sometimes some of these toxic people are people that we can't cut out because they are important in our lives, whether that's someone who's family or someone you've been connected to for a long time who might be going through something. What I would suggest is that you learn to separate yourself from them in an emotional or mental sense, without separating yourself from them physically. So you can still be there with them and you can still be that person who is available to them without allowing their toxic behavior and words to affect your life and your mind. That can be very, very hard, and I would suggest that if it's at all possible, you actually separate yourself from them entirely, at least for a time. But that's not always possible. So when it's not possible, you really need to find ways of handling that in a way that it's not going to damage your health. And in the context of relationships, I think it's really important that we don't say yes to everything. Now, I know some people who are very inclined to say yes whenever someone asks them for something, and these people are incredible because they're always there for you. They always do stuff for you. They're always available, and they're always full of life and full of willingness to do stuff for you. But the trouble is that these people often tend to be worn out, had enough of life, and really struggling emotionally. And they usually end up taking on way too much. And something we do as a society that I've noticed is we see the people who are doing everything. We see that person over there, they're doing everything, and we just think that is someone who would get something done if I asked. And so we ask. And what I would suggest is that as a society, we need to start going, that is someone who is very busy. We should ask somebody else. Obviously not all the time. Sometimes you just need to ask the people that you know, the people that you trust, the people you know will get it done. But I think it's really important that we take a bit more care of those people and what we are actually asking from them. But as part of that, if you're a person who always says yes to things, please stop saying yes to everything. This can be really detrimental to your health, both physically and mentally. And it's so important to know what's yours to do. People you love might be asking you for stuff, but you don't have to do everything for them to still love them. And you don't need to assume that you have to be there for everyone you love all the time. Doing too much for other people drains you, and it takes away time that you could be using to grow yourself. Now, this might sound a little bit selfish, but I'm not talking about being selfish and being totally unavailable. But it's so important to make sure that you are healthy and you are well. Otherwise, you're worth nothing to the people you care about, because you can't actually help them if you're not okay. And it's so important to make sure that you are healthy and you are looked after and you are happy before you can outpour into other people's lives. So there we have it. Those are my few short tips on how to take care of your mental health on a day-to-day basis. I hope some of these will be useful to you. And even if you do suffer from a chronic illness or a mental illness, that is diagnosed and you're taking medications for it, I know that these probably are not really complex enough to cover what you're going through, and I'm not trying to assume that I can fix those things for you. But I would suggest that some of these tips may help you to manage some things from day to day. But obviously, not having struggled with any of those major illnesses myself, I can't say for sure, and I'm not trying to heal those for you because I'm not a professional and they can be very, very complex. So please don't take this personally as an attack that you're not doing enough. It's not. I think if you're struggling with an illness and you're doing the best that you can to take care of yourself, then you are doing an incredible job and you are well on your way to being better. Anyway, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and please click the subscribe and the little bell. Don't forget the little bell. That will tell you every time I upload a video. I'm trying to do at least one video a week on a Friday, which may not actually get uploaded until a Saturday, because I'm like that. But I am also trying to do 2 videos a week. Whether or not I make the second one, which will be earlier in the week, is debatable, but I am trying. So please hit the notification bell and you will get to know when I do make 2 videos or if I only make 1. Thanks so much for watching and have a great week.